And welcome to the latest edition of the 941 Sports Zone. Spitz and Masoni with you. John looking for his green jacket. Hopefully
Listen,
he'll
I
get it
don't
by
have a
Sunday.
green jacket, but it's just the idea that it's the week of the Masters, and how do you not just love everything to do with this tournament? Even now, the drive, chip, and putt competition has become it's like must watch TV on Sunday before the Masters. And
Right.
the Augusta National Women's Amateur,
Yep.
which has turned into one of the biggest amateur events out there. So for the women, so it's a cool. Actually, it's almost turning into a 2-week thing, and they really haven't even had anything to it that is even touching the integrity of what they want to do as with the regular tournament.
And everything looks like a go far as weather-wise go. All the crappy weather's actually heading towards you. But anyway, we'll get to that.
It is definitely.
And also we'll have a national championship preview between the two teams that I did not pick to go there against the ones that you did. Obviously, we'll talk a little MLB. It's opening day for the Rays as we record today.
It is.
At Tropicana Field, the home opener. Lightning have a huge game on Monday night against the Buffalo Sabres. We'll even talk a little NBA and, of course, the locks of the week. And what's bugging me, Spitz, going back to the olden days. The 941 Sports Zone, episode number 33, presented by Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida, locally owned and nationally backed, delivering exceptional roofing for homes and businesses throughout the Gulf Coast. 941-251-4257 is the number. 941-251-4257. In honor of having Jeff on last week, I think we're going to start with high school baseball in the 941, John. This is a pretty cool week because at Cool Today Park, there are actually 3 games that occur on Friday and Saturday. So this was a good time it's the final week of the regular season for high school baseball. So I thought it was a good time to get where everybody currently is and what the games are at Cool Today. Venice is now 21-1. They won their couple of games last week. They have Barron Collier again. They had them last week at home. This time they travel to Barron Collier. I think it's tomorrow. And then they play Friday night against arch rival Sarasota. And in baseball, that is a true rivalry. That is the Friday night. It's a standalone game, 6:00 at Cool Today Park. I expect both Sarasota and Venice to show out for that game. Again, this is the rivalry that goes way back to Clyde Metcalf days.
Absolutely, and it's if you want to look at the dominance of Sarasota High School for gosh, it must have been 20 years where they were the cream of the crop in this area, and Venice starting probably in the 2003-2004 seasons began to flex their muscles, and they have been the dominant team in this area right through the current time. So yes, and that, by the way, that doesn't mean that when Sarasota was dominant, Venice wasn't getting in their way, and vice versa now with Sarasota. So they both teams have been legitimate contenders from the local perspective, state perspective, and in both of their situations, nationally ranked teams. I think Sarasota did finish number 1 in the country, maybe once or twice. Rich, I'm trying to just think back on the fly here, but I think they were a national championship team. So they had some unbelievable players and unbelievable teams, and now Venice is sort of following suit.
Yes, they are in two different polls. Number 1, in another poll, they're number 2 nationally at 21-1. We talked about it last week. With Jeff talking about their trip to North Carolina again and finishing runner-up after winning it the year before. Tremendous job, and this will be quite the game at Cool Today on Friday night. And then there's a Saturday doubleheader. Lemon Bay, who's usually pretty good. They've lately been very good, but they've gone through coaches. I think this is their 3rd coach in 4 or 5 seasons. They are 10-8. They have a very difficult game at 18-2 Island Coast tomorrow. And that's a district game. So they're going to be getting ready for their district tournament. And then they'll play Charlotte Saturday in the second game at Cool today at 6 p.m. They beat Charlotte first game of the year 3-2 way back in February. The Tarpons are 13-7, well represented. They'll host the Imagine School today at 7. And Northport will play Imagine School at 3 p.m. Saturday in the first game at Cool Today Park. 6 teams locally that get a chance to play on a spring training major league home of the Atlanta Braves. And good on Cool Today Park for hosting them. And I think it's going to be great. And if you have a chance and you are part of any of these schools, I highly encourage you to head on out to Cool Today.
Well, looking at the rundown before the show started, surprised to see Northport with the record that was as it is, because they have been very consistent with their baseball program down there over the years. And I'm a little surprised by that. You mentioned Lemon Bay. They made a little run. Was it 2 years ago? They did
the Final Four.
Yeah. So they made a little run, and they've been very, very consistent with their product as well. So seeing them at 10-8. That I don't think the record is probably indicative of what kind of a team they are. That they play in the area. They play a lot of good teams in this area. There's no doubt about it. And Charlotte has always been a consistent winner as well. You always get a heck of a fight out of Charlotte, and they were always fighting for their district championship every year as well. So a lot of good baseball right there. And when you've got back-to-back games and you got a whole weekend out there, you can really enjoy yourself and get to see some good baseball. Players that may be playing on Saturday, Sunday, whatever in the collegiate level, and then you always get the one or two guys that are that level that are going to go and get drafted. But nonetheless, a central location, and it'd be a good way to go out there and see the park and a lot of good baseball.
The only local team not playing is Port Charlotte. They are 11-9 on the season. They have a home tilt with Bishop Verot tomorrow at 7. Tried to get the district seedings and things of that nature, but there's still district games going on, so that will probably be determined on Sunday. And the district tournament runs from next Tuesday, the 14th, until Friday, the 17th, with a rain date of Saturday, the 18th. And the weather is supposed to be in, as I mentioned earlier, you guys are supposed to get some drought-busting rains in the next few days, which is great for that going. I know in your other business, I'm sure it's been kind of a rough spring. So
it was a very late spring, which is, we started talking about spring on the third week of January. So when we're into April and really haven't hit our stride with some rain and whatnot, and don't forget, while there's been a drought to compound the problem, there was two freezes. And if you talk to some of the people that are in the know, I've got some guys who are arborists and this and that I kind of run across with. They're like, no, there were 4 freezes where the weather got to 32 in certain areas in our community, and that's hard for our natural flora to rebound from pretty quickly. The first thing to come back, of course, is the weeds, and that's what we're doing. We're getting rid of weeds right now, but hopefully some rain in this run, and then I a lot of people say, "Oh, I hope we get 8 inches." No, I hope we get 1, and then 1 the next day, and then 1. We want it to be like a good soaker. We don't want just to run it. When it really rains hard, all you see in the street is all the soot, if we want to call it that, or whatever that's been laying in that grass. You don't really get an indicative of getting a good soaking rain. So hopefully that happens, some consistency. And then May is a crapshoot, Rich, down here.
I remember.
Could be the greatest weather you ever wanted to see, and May usually consistently is the better weather if you're inclined to be in 85 to 88 degree weather with a little bit of humidity in the air and a nice gentle breeze off the Gulf. And then all of a sudden, then that switch, whenever that switch comes on and the humidity hits, and then that's when the rains really do start. So hopefully we'll get a little bit before that, and we can get into a nice run for the summer.
Yep. So the district tournaments I mentioned are the 14th to the 17th, and then you move on to the regionals. This year, the state tournament is at Hammond Stadium, the home spring training home with the Twins in Fort Myers. Nice short trip for most of our teams.
Yeah, Fort Myers has
head
been the
down there.
host for years now. Yeah, they've done a great job.
Yeah,
with
they
that.
were at JetBlue for a while, and now
Yes.
they've gone to Hammond Stadium, which again had a nice redo a few years ago. It's a nice place to watch a game. I know I've done some broadcasts from there for the single A, when the
Yeah.
Stone Crabs were in
Sure.
existence. Very nice sight lines. It's pretty easy to get to, so certainly looking forward to that. And I have a funny feeling we're going to get a lot of representation. We got a lot of good baseball teams in our area.
I agree. I totally agree.
All right, let's move on. Again, the 941 Sports Zone presented by Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida. 941-251-4257 is the number. Again, we've kind of been telling you all about this now. We're inside of 2 months from the official start of hurricane season, but really it's the wet season that starts with, if you got to get that roof taken care of, do it now while you can. 941-251-4257. Up and down the Gulf Coast are the good folks.
Yeah, you don't want to put off your roof inspection before the summertime and your AC inspections. Those are two things you kind of want to get right, because when there's misery with both if they're not.
Correct. All right. March Madness National Championship game. We're recording this on Monday afternoon, so it'll be going on later on Monday night. 8:50 is the start time. Second year that they've gone to a little bit of an earlier start to avoid, games ending somewhere between 11:30 and midnight.
Yeah.
It is number 1 seed Michigan going to take on number 2 seed UConn. Both teams winning on Saturday. UConn, nice. I thought very workmanlike effort against Illinois. Second time they beat them this year. That game was up in the air with about 8 minutes to go. It was a tie game, but UConn made the plays down the stretch as usual. Listen, I've underestimated them the entire tournament. Danny Hurley's done a tremendous job getting them to the championship game. And, they got a chance for their third title in 4 years as we record this, John.
For as much as I've been disappointed in some of the coaching that's been, even with winning teams, that I like, the coaching to me has been sort of, I don't know. I would say like roll the ball out and see what happens kind of coaching. Danny Hurley is a magician.
Yeah.
They're really, if on paper, for as good as UConn is talent wise, they don't have as much talent or as much people as Michigan do.
No.
And so you would look at it again on a paper thing and you say, okay, this is going to be another Michigan. They're going to be up by 15 at half. They roll it out to 30, and here we go. I don't foresee that, Rich. Mm-hmm. I foresee a game that's going to be very, very competitive. Now, competitive, it could be a 7-point game or a 5-point game or whatever it may be. But look, if it gets down to the stretch and UConn's within 5 points or at 5 to 7 points with 5 minutes left, man, I don't know. I don't know if Michigan's ready for what, because Hurley will throw everything at them. He's not afraid to try everything and anything. That's what when you say about a mad scientist, that's what I'm talking about. That guy comes into every game he comes into, and he is got a different plan and a different defense and whatever it takes mentality to win, where I don't see the same thing in a lot of these different schools. I just don't see it. I see a guy. We talked a little bit prior to the show. I didn't like what the Arizona coach how he handled that whole situation on Saturday. He's got a loaded team. He's about as close to being loaded as Michigan is in regards to players. There was nothing. How do you let Bradley, who was the Big 12 Player of the Year, get 4 fouls or 3 fouls and a half? It just didn't make any sense to me. Why would you put him on somebody that's just running into the people? You know what I mean? It's like that's what Michigan does. They sort of run into you and then they kick it out, or they run in. They run into the under the basket and then they kick it out. And they're looking for fouls. They're looking to be bumped into. They're looking to have their big guys get a little space or a little kick pass or whatever you want to call it. And I didn't see an adjustment in that game. I didn't see anything. I saw sending different players in, but I was like, all right, now you try to do this and you try to do this. No, you didn't do anything to alter Michigan's plan. you just kept on reacting to it. And even the idea, like, again, maybe I'm a different person, I don't know, but where was like the vitriol or where was that, like, come on, wake up? And I know they got a lot of freshmen on that team, but man, it just didn't look like that from the get-go. They got outplayed, and mostly got outcoached in that game. So that was disappointing. I don't think that'll happen with Danny Hurley. I don't think he'll be outcoached. He might get outplayed, but he's not going to get outcoached.
Well, they're a senior-laden team themselves, so I think and they've had experience. A lot of guys on that team have rings, so that goes a long way in these things. I think Arizona panicked a little bit. I think the freshmen panicked a little bit. They got behind early. I think it was 10-1 at one point, and then it was 26-10, and they just never got their feet under them. I did think that the Arizona coach did try to do a few things, but I just think the kids, I just think the kids just were overwhelmed by the moment. There's a lot of talk about the fact that despite the weather, that Dusty May rolled out the balls at Michigan Stadium, got their kids acclimated to shooting without a background.
Right.
That's next level coaching, in my opinion. I mean, because you get into these stadiums, the other three teams combined are shooting like under 30%. Michigan shot 46% in the first game. So, I just, Dusty May needs to get his flowers. If he wins the national championship, I mean, getting FAU to the Final Four was monumental. Okay.
Sure.
Now he's got the talent, and if he gets them across the finish line and they win again by double digits, I was talking to, among other people, I'm going to name drop a little bit, Sean Huber earlier today, who's from Michigan. He goes, they drop another double digit win, especially against a team like UConn. You got to start talking all time teams, because there are not many teams that rip through the tournament like they have. They've scored at least 91 points in every single game. They've won every game by double digits. And if they do it again, I mean, you got to start thinking about that.
Right. You're 100% right, Rich. And I do, like I said, with going back to the Arizona game, Arizona, again, you got a 7'4" guy in the paint, right? And the other guys are two other guys, maybe 6'11", right? So so probably the only team that can match up with them would have been Florida. Okay, using Florida as an example. However, why if I'm Koa Pete and I have a 15-foot jump shot, why am I trying to go into the lane with a 7'4" guy trying to block my shot? The thing I kept on looking at is I kept on saying, like, somebody tell these guys to kick the ball out. You've got jump shooters. Bradley and they were not taking outside shots. The only guy taking outside shots was number 8. And he was chucking stuff up from God knows where. It was kind of weird how he was shooting. But my point is, I look at UConn and I say, no, they're not going to fall for that. They got 3-4 guys that they can kick it out to, who can make a shot. The big thing is going to be whether their point guards can handle Michigan's sort of. They're putting hands in, into the guys when they're dribbling. They're putting their hands out. Yep. They're disruptive with their defense. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Don't drive into the paint. Okay, then keep it on the perimeter. Dump it into, if you got a place, kick it back out for a 3. I think that's where UConn's going to live and die, is on the 3 line. If they can hit threes and make Michigan have to play a different ball game, then I think that's where it gets close. And I think that's where, at the end, UConn has been in a lot of pressure cooker games since probably 3 weeks before the season ended, right? Playing St. John's twice and everything else they did. I think that might be an issue going forward. So I'm just looking at things where I think that Michigan has played so well, but they're not invincible based on what if you play, you got to dictate your style as opposed to them dictating what you do. And you can't fall into the trappings of, hey, let's get this guy. No, it doesn't matter. I'll use something real quick. The UCLA, and I know we're going to talk about it, the UCLA game yesterday with South Carolina. They didn't fall for it. They didn't get wrapped up like UConn did, which is very surprising to me, and let South Carolina's defense dictate the game.
Mhm.
They were, they didn't try to force it down low to Betts.
Mhm.
They did their best to sort of do that. But where they make their hay when South Carolina was trying to go for the ball, they kicked it out, hit a three. Even if they didn't make the shot was there. So I
Right.
think that's a lot to do with how I could foresee UConn playing against Michigan.
Well, I made a tactical mistake. Arizona, you talked about their lack of kicking the ball out. They had the fifth least threes attempted in the regular season. That's
Yeah.
something that Tommy Lloyd's going to have to fix. Now that he's got a nice big fat contract extension, he's going to have to go out and get some shooters. I mean, they got to the Final Four basically without needing any shooters, but once they got into a game like a game against Michigan, they didn't have any answers for the questions.
Well, I thought, looking at Burries and Bradley, a freshman, and I think Bradley's a senior. Is he not? Is he the only senior on the team?
I think
Maybe,
he
or
was. I think he was.
yeah.
Yeah.
But they didn't. But they got in foul trouble, or
Yes.
they were trying to penetrate. Sometimes you got to be the guy. That's why guard play is so important. Okay.
Yes.
And that's why I liked Arizona in that game. I'm like, oh, they got the Big 12 Player of the Year, a freshman All-American.
Nothing, by the way. Oh, he was
was 4 fouls early in the second half.
Yeah.
He had no points,
Yeah.
0. Big 12 Player of the, and then you got the other guys down low trying to force it into a 7'4" guy. I said earlier, I don't understand it. And when you're the coach, I mean, like, what are we doing here, guys? Let's kick it out. But if that's, like I said, if that's not what you're capable of, but I thought they were. I over guessed on them. They weren't bringing 8 or 9 guys. They were bringing 4, and they were also a freshman. And you're right. And that's one hard part about Arizona. How many of those freshmen are gone?
That's an interesting. That's going to be an interesting off season there.
Yes.
Do they? Are they? I don't think they're pro ready. I mean, if you look at that performance by the freshmen, and you would have to think that maybe they come back for another year. They got to the Final Four, maybe get some shooting in the off season and, practice some shooting in the off season and maybe come back.
Well, it's this.
Well, but there is this now in college basketball.
Right.
So
that's what I'm saying. If they're not, they're going to get the whoever's in their ear, as far as their team is concerned, not Arizona Wildcats, their team, their individual team says.
Right.
And if they already had a plan in place that they were going to go pro as it is, that's where they're going to end up. Now, a lot of times guys like you hear different guys that, hey, I'm going to go, and then they eject because they realize, hey, we're not even going to be in the top. We're not even going to make the draft at all. We're going to be free agents here.
Right.
And that's sort of in basketball. That's like death. You know what I mean? Like when you're not drafted and you're a young guy, and where are you going to go to? And the portal is closed, and you're G League guy. You know what I mean? And that's I don't know how good that is.
And the G League, we've seen all year long, people were leaving the G League to go back to college.
Right.
Kind of doing things backwards, if you will. So
right.
There's not a lot of money there.
No, and again, and the G League was meant to be, how do I put this? Developmental, from the sense that you're not looking at guys who are McDonald's All-Americans to go there to be developmental. You're talking a guy from Austin P or a guy from Murray State, or a guy from some that's a conference player of the year kind of guy, but he needs to get beat up a little bit by some veterans, and you put him in the G League and see what comes of it. Because quite frankly, Rich, I mean, if you watch the NBA, there are, in a roster of 12 players, and if you watched every team play a game, and I think I'm I follow college basketball decently. You don't recognize 70% of the guys on those teams.
Yep.
So where are they coming from other than other countries? They're coming from places that are developing players that they're not getting. North Carolina is not putting 5 guys in the league every year or whatever. No. They just don't do it anymore. And it's because these young kids are coming out. They're going into college. They don't develop a game. They don't want to go to the G League. They're looking to get drafted, and it's over with. It's over with quick.
Yep, I totally agree with you. By the way, speaking of North Carolina,
I know. Wow.
Interesting hire. Michael Malone, who's late of the Denver Nuggets, ends up. It looks like he's going to be the coach. They're finalizing things as we do this podcast.
I don't even know where that came from. Yeah.
Very strange. That came from the fact that everybody said no. Apparently, North Carolina just thought that they were going to be like, I'm going to offer, they apparently offered Tommy Lloyd a big bag. And Tommy Lloyd decided to stay at Arizona despite having issues with the administration.
Right.
That right there tells you that North Carolina is not the coveted job it was even 5 years ago when Hubert Davis took over. And they may have made a mistake by blowing Hubert Davis out. I mean, again, you and I talked about it, 24-6. And, they lost their best player and they decided to move on. This to me is an incredibly strange hire.
It's like I said, I can't even understand it. An NBA guy to come back to the college ranks, and it's a different game.
Yes.
I right away I'm like thinking, okay, what went wrong with the Nuggets and him? Where did that go? I want to say that there was friction between the GM and him, and
they both got blown out of John. If you remember, they both got blown out at the same time with 4 games left in the regular season last year.
Right.
So it was obviously above the two of them.
So I even remember hearing that if they hadn't got the one championship, that he was going to be gone after that year potentially. Yeah. So there's something there that is a little bit fishy. I think North Carolina is not the job that everybody perceives it to be. It's just not. And I think it's. I'm trying to make a comparison to college football because obviously you say, well, like, who else is a previous blue blood who thinks that they're sort of just come in and get anointed.
John, he's at the same school. Wouldn't that be Bill Belichick? Wouldn't it be similar to that?
It'd be similar to that, but I think there's probably I know if I sat here for a few minutes, you probably think about it. But a lot of times there's these schools that people say like, oh no, we get whoever we want to get. It's just a matter of whoever wants to take the job, and
right.
Don't worry, we'll be in a national championship in a minute. And that's not the case. It's just Notre Dame a little bit. They've played well. They had that feel for a little while.
Right.
But there's been this idea to think that you're going to just get it started is a little bit difficult for me to believe. And they're gonna. I think they could struggle next year. I really do.
Well, they're already struggling. They're way behind Duke. Okay, they did beat them at home, but that was such a big win, as we've talked about a couple times on this podcast. They rushed the court. When does North Carolina rush the court? At home when they beat Duke. I mean, it's just, and I think they just thought, and again, there's been a lot of examples of this, John, that, we're North Carolina. We'll just get the pick of the litter.
Right.
And coach after coach said, no, I'm good. Thanks. Nope. We're okay. Nope. And I think the Tommy Lloyd thing really threw them for a loop. A lot of people thought, that they might go after Dusty May, and then word came out he's not going anywhere. And I think this is a panic hire. I really do.
Well, I'll use an example. I'm thinking about it right now. UCLA men's basketball. You know what I mean? They've sort of gone through cycles of different coaches. They've never really gotten. Now they've had sporadic, a good year here, a good run in the tournament, but not nearly as much as maybe they had assumed they were going to be.
Right.
And it's a school where everybody's following John Wooden still, and there's the Wooden disciples, like there's Dean Smith disciples and whatever else you may be. But there's been some interesting hires there where they didn't quite work out. And they've maybe with the expectation, well, it's UCLA, just got to get it started up again, get it cranked up. We're not there yet. So North Carolina, very surprised by the hire. Just didn't. Everything about it seems strange. The whole process going into it, the firing of Hubert Davis to start off with, and then now this leading up to the hire of Malone.
Yeah. You mentioned it earlier. UCLA wins the women's national championship. They go 37-1. Tremendous year. I was absolutely stunned by the way they just destroyed South Carolina. South Carolina played a very good game against UConn on Friday night. Of course, we'll get into the Gino Auriemma thing in just a second with Dawn Staley. But I just, and you mentioned it. They played their game. They just, they got some scoring inside. You mentioned Betts. She had to go out of the game early. It sounds like they had a little bit of an issue with she had a little bit of an issue with the dry air, and instead of panicking, they ended up 11 at the end of the first quarter, and for all intents and purposes, that game was over.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Well, the thing is this, and I guess we can. I'll try to bridge maybe to the Auriemma situation. Okay.
All right.
So South Carolina, I know they lost two of their best players early in the year that were contributors, and even Dawn Staley said that she wasn't quite sure what she wouldn't have if you had asked her early in the year that this team was going to make it to the finals. The answer would have been no. However, the style of play that they played was a bit, it's not. How do I put this right? It was a bit physical. You know what I mean? It was a bit, like I would say like they weren't playing sort of that polished way of playing. They were out there and they were knocking heads and trying to get into people's jerseys, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And it didn't work against UCLA because they just had too many people who would not let that happen. They had too many players that, you had 6 seniors that scored all the points in the Final Four games. And so those girls were not going to have any of that nonsense, especially how much it knocked UConn off their mark a little bit. And obviously now that we've mentioned the UConn South Carolina situation, I think Auriemma was frustrated because of that they were allowing South Carolina to sort of play extra physical, hands in there, knocking the ball away, and not getting called on any fouls. I think when you're in a quarter, which that's one thing about the women's game that's different now, where they play quarters, 4 10-minute quarters. That in a quarter his team had 6 fouls and South Carolina had none, and yet they were the more physical team. You know how basketball is. You're the whistle blow before there's even a foul. The foul has been made or whatever. Right. They already foresee the foul, or their expectation is there's a foul. Mm-hmm. So a guy like him was expecting, I think, it to be maybe officiated down the middle, and it didn't really happen that way. And he got frustrated, I think.
Well, to the aggressor goes the spoils. I just think if you're the more aggressive team, you're going to get the calls. You're the one that's forcing the action. And he's not used to that. He's used to being the guy to get the calls.
Right.
And the way he handled it, I mean, wow. Listen, the guy's built an absolute empire at UConn. But he hasn't lost very much. And the last couple of times he's kind of handled it in a way that's not very professional. And, first of all, Dawn Staley's not going to back down. I mean, that's fairly obvious.
Right.
As a matter of fact, she was ready to scrap. I mean, she's like, you want to come at me, old man? Let's go.
Right.
But in all seriousness, Gino's, and the apology afterwards was, you might as well said nothing. I mean, seriously, doesn't mention her name. I don't know. I've lost a lot of respect for Gino after this this dust up, and they were expected to just roll, and I don't know how else to put it. I'm disappointed.
41 years he's been the head coach, or how many years is he a head coach now?
I have to look that up, the exact number.
No, it can't be 41 years. That's way too much. So he goes back to the mid to early 90s. That's where his start is, right? I'm going to put it to you this way, and understand I don't like to go this route, but an old white man, okay, used to getting his way, okay, and it's not like he's just not a guy who genuflects when he thinks he should, and he's becoming the dinosaur. Okay, so if you looked at and listen, do I get that he didn't handle himself properly? Absolutely. Did he behave like Bobby Knight? No, he didn't.
No.
Okay, I've seen Coach K over the years get snarky and shitty with people, and he was talk about his practices, how he was one cuss word after the next in his practices, and how everything was put together, and they weren't.
Well, who was his mentor?
Bobby Knight.
There you go.
Bobby Knight. Yeah. And so that being the case, I'm not going to make, he doesn't need for me to apologize for him or anything else. Mm-hmm. I just think that a lot of this comes down to where you're, like you said, old white man, who do you think you're talking to? You know what I'm saying? You got your nice little thing in UConn, but it's not about that now. It's not about that. Again, it's like anything else. So I don't know if he didn't look at it and say, why am I not getting the calls? Okay. Maybe he's got some bone to pick with Dawn Staley for whatever the case. Him and
Pat Summitt didn't get along. Not to interrupt, but I just did. Yeah, him and Pat Summitt didn't get along either, and that was another. Had some success against him.
Because I think that he's a man in a women's world, and he's fighting battles that he can't say certain things. Okay, he can't say things about Dawn Staley and her style. If he said, let me use a word. If he said they played like thugs, he'd be in jail right now.
Yeah,
okay?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So, but it's like the same thing when Angel Reese was beating up people on the court and knocking Caitlin Clark down. Don't say anything about it. Don't say anything about it.
Right.
Okay. And everybody came to the defense of Angel Reese. Okay. Nobody, and again, in this case, he doesn't deserve it, but he's not, it's not his world anymore. And I even thought about it. I said, you know what? I'm thinking about it from his perspective. Okay. And again, would I have handled it that way? No. But I would have thought hard about it the next day and said, has this thing gotten past me? Am I now the get off my lawn guy, and not just my lawn, but get out of my neighborhood. Right. Okay. He's not in his own neighborhood anymore. He's living someplace else. And I don't know, and I think that his players will defend him to the end, which I think is great. But I think that generally speaking, the culture of women's basketball, both collegiately and professionally, is a different bird. And I don't think he's long for it, to say the least.
By the way, John, you are right. He just finished his 41st season.
Yeah.
At UConn. 1985 he started. So good on you for knowing your stuff. By the way, these two teams play in November of next year.
Honestly, I think what'll happen is, if he wants to stay around, it'll be a big kumbaya session. Yes. They'll do whatever it needs to be done. But understandably, like I said, him and Pat Summitt, those fights and those feelings, they start on the recruiting trail.
Yes.
So you know what I'm saying?
And don't think Dawn Staley won't use it.
100%. There's the old white man. Well, look what he's doing. And when you're trying to recruit the same kid, and you walk in there, you have a different accent and a different look, and he's to the point now, Rich, where he's a guy that he's at his age now where he wears his glasses like this because that's how old people wear their glasses. He's got his shit. It's like, this is glasses.
John, I could really take offense to that remark, but I won't. Anyway, no, you're absolutely right. So everything you said is spot on. That's appointment basketball over Thanksgiving next year.
Yeah,
that is absolutely appointment basketball, and ESPN is frothing at the mouth at that game already. Yeah. And
by the way, if I'm going to go back to my brain, Dawn Staley's been accused of a lot of different things too. She's not. She does what she does.
She's not a choir girl. No,
she's not. So let's not pretend that she, I'm not saying that she. I mean, the whole thing going back to the handshake. I get that. But I also look at that and say, where's the person walking over and saying, "Hey, Coach Staley, Coach Auriemma, this is a TV thing. You got to go do it." Now,
Right.
if she said, turn around and said, "F off, I'm not doing it," maybe we had something different. But she said, "No, I shook their hand already." So she broke protocol because whatever her reasons were. Again, I can't tell you anybody's motives, but don't tell me that you didn't see that guy standing there for 3 minutes and saying, "What the hell does he want? What's he want?" I think there was a little bit of posturing at that point, and then come out and play hard, physical, on the edge defense, and no calls happen. That I think he was mad to hear, and I think he got up, and by the time the game was over, he was a powder keg, and doesn't make it right.
He went off.
Right.
Yep.
Doesn't make it right. I think that where he made his biggest mistake, Rich, in the press conference after there was ever there, he had a chance to diffuse it. He had a chance to say, "Look, I was
doubled down, tripled
about
down
this," and he tripled and tripled and tripled. That's when you're that mad about something, there's something else there. That's when you got to look at it and say what really is bothering him, and has it passed him by?
And maybe he should have took a few extra minutes. Take a little criticism from the media for being a little late, as opposed to just totally continuing with the situation.
Because you're right, it's a PR situation. You're absolutely right. Now that's going to be used against him in recruiting, and I guarantee that'll piss him off even more.
Exactly. All right. 941 Sports Zone, brought to you by Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida, locally owned, nationally backed. 941-251-4257, delivering exceptional roofing for homes and businesses up and down the Gulf Coast. Again, 941-251-4257. It's Masters Week. I know that is something, we even talked about it last week. Unfortunately, that's the wrong word to use, but I'm a guy that roots for those two Texas tournaments for new blood to win. We got Gary Woodward last week, and he got eligible. JJ Spahn's, he won a major. So he's heading back, but good on him. He's apparently playing very well. Ended up winning the Valero Texas Open on Sunday. So now it's Masters Week. Word is, the weather is going to be good, which means the course is going to be fast, firm. The step meter on the greens is probably going to be in the 13 to 14 range,
right?
Maybe even more. This should be a very interesting week. I don't think you're going to see the 15, 16, 17 under pars. I think 12 under is probably going to win this tournament.
12 under, you're in the home stretch. You'll be one of the final two pairings on Sunday, which is where the winners always come from. Very rarely do they come outside those final two pairings. I look at it's going to be really a good show. Remember Andy North? Obviously, he was a golf analyst for years on ESPN, and he used to do a thing where he'd say, how he would pick the winner. And he went, especially with majors, he had this little board. He'd say, "I can eliminate these four guys because they can't do this." And it comes down to he could get down to one person that it was his favorite. Now, did he make it right all the time? No. But in most cases, especially the Masters, there's only I should know this 80 guys that get invited. It's not a regular full field. It's an invitational. Right. It's a different deal. An open, you play in two opens and a PGA championship. And the PGA is anybody who's a member can get in, right? So this is a different bird. Same golf course. That's the only one they play the same golf course every year. So being there and having done it, you got to think that somebody who's been down this road, maybe knocked on a door, maybe he's on a little bit of a roll, is going to be the winner out of this. And you probably could pick, if you sat down tomorrow, Rich, or even after the show, you could even say, let me write down 10 names of guys that I think are going to win it, and start looking at the ones and say, oh, wait a second, he's only in his second year here. He's never competed for this one, or whatever it may be. So that's where you're going to see. And so that's why picking the Masters as a golf tournament is not as hard as the others. Okay. It's not as hard. And you look at it and say, well, who do we think? Who do we think? I got to say that, I'm not, this is no indication of who I'm going to pick, but guys that you look at it, there's no doubt that the two guys from Live are going to be competitors, and John Rahm and Bryson DeChambeau.
And they are playing well right now.
They can hit the shit out of the ball, and they're going to play. It's going to come matter of DeChambeau's got to putt better. We know that. He's got to be better with his putting. His chipping can be a little off too as well. But tee to green, I mean, his ball striking is phenomenal. Rahm he's that Spaniard blood in him. They love this course. He's already got one in his pocket, so he's another guy destined to win a second one. I would only say to you this, that DeChambeau seems to be the only one of the guys who can make who can sort of manufacture his game to play at these levels that he does not getting to play at Live. Mm-hmm. One guy I got to say as well, that's not a Live guy anymore, but we talked about earlier in the year. He's got a green jacket, and he played golf at Augusta State, and that's Patrick Reed.
Yes,
you cannot not count him. He was on fire, and I'll guarantee you that guy has been getting ready to play this golf tournament. If you wanted to put down a bet and say guy's going to be in the top 5 or top 10, I think Patrick Reed's a lock. If again, he's a Masters champion, he's a lock to be that guy. So that's what I'm saying. You can do this. You can kind of go through this look and say like, hey, these are the guys. And then on the tour, has anybody been setting the world on fire? No, not really. There's been a lot of guys that just, hey, I got one, this guy got one, and they were, playing. Some guys playing in California, but some of the hot golfers are not in this.
Right.
They're not in it. So you got to look at what the field is, and I think you could probably pick 10 guys, and you can probably find one of those guys that can end up being the winner.
Interesting that both Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy have not played since the Players. Now, for different reasons. Scotty, second child. I mean,
right.
They stay home. He normally plays in Texas, decided to, be with the wife. His game is just, it's tailor-made for Augusta. Rory, a little different situation. The week before the Players, he withdrew from Arnie's tournament with the bad back. He played the Players. He was meh, and he hasn't played since. And that's got a lot of people whispering, maybe the back is still an issue. Maybe he doesn't have the drive now that he has the career Grand Slam. Those are the two betting favorites. Both have kind of a little question mark on them.
Rory, basically, now my opinion, I think Rory had a nervous breakdown after he won the Masters. I think it was such a psychological thing that when it finally happened, I think that it was like everything came unraveled. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And you watched him, and he sort of had it's like a remember the scene in Caddyshack where the bishop gets struck by lightning, the greatest round ever. God would never do this to me. They showed him 3 weeks later, and he was all bearded up, and he's drinking, and he's all drunk, and they're like, "You can't act that way. Oh, I'm just a man. Leave me alone." That's how Rory is. Rory's become the bishop from Caddyshack.
Caddyshack, yeah.
That guy. Now look, could he be sandbagging and try to play better? He could be. I think Scotty definitely is. I think Scotty's taken it upon himself to say yes, he's having a child, everything else. I'm gonna stop my conversation there because this is gonna be one of my okay. I'm gonna give you 2 locks of the week. Okay.
Ooh, wow.
This is one of them. That I'm going to come up with, and I have some reasoning behind it. So I just I'll leave it at that.
All right. So some of the other players that are playing well quietly, Xander Schauffele, I think, is playing well.
Yes.
Tommy Fleetwood, in my opinion, I know he's kind of been up and down, but now that he's got the win, maybe he exhales a little bit because he's played well at the Masters before. Those are just a couple of guys I'm thinking of. Who are some of the fringe guys that you might think might have a shot here?
So I mentioned Patrick Reed, because again, now
that's a great one, by the way.
He is a fringe guy at this point. Past champions, again, looking at certain guys that have played really well in the past. I'm trying to think of. I know there's one at the tip of my tongue, but I believe like a JJ Spawn a player. I like his game. he's got a game for all courses, which I like a lot. Look, I'm going to say something too. Matt Fitzpatrick, I think that he's really sort of he's got a major championship game.
Yes.
And I think he's got the ability to handle the short game. Okay. If he can keep the ball in the fairway and play smart, and he's a smart player. That's what he's not gonna rinse one going for it with a lead, on 13 or 15. You know what I mean? He's gonna be like, hey, you know what? I'll lay up. I'll let my short game make it for me. So I do like Matt Fitzpatrick as one of those guys that can make it happen. He's got a major championship under his belt,
and he's playing very well.
Yes,
playing very well. Recovered from that collapse, at the end of the one tournament, and then turned around and won. I think it was Valspar, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, I think he won Valspar. Yeah, I think you're right. So I like him a lot. In this again, but I don't think I'm going too far outside the realm of things. I actually was hedging my bets. I picked Jordan Spieth to win Valero because he was in Texas. His game is a shambles.
Yeah,
he could.
And again, he had the surgery, right?
Yep.
I always get him. I always get Spieth and who's the other Texan that he plays with all the time? That is Ryder Cup partner.
Justin Thomas.
Yeah, Justin Thomas. I get the two of them mixed up.
And there's a guy on the edge too that I think he can't put four rounds together right now. And I get it. He's coming off the surgery as well, an injury. But I would love. I think that's there are these guys that this is the tournament that they should be winning. This is the one that they can get. PGA Championship. I know Justin Thomas has 2 now. That's the other way. I'm going to put one other name out there, just because I think it would be a fantastic story, and that's Brooks Koepka.
Yeah,
Brooks Koepka plays well at Augusta. He's and I thought for sure he would ring that bell at some point in time. I think Liv destroyed his game, and he's just getting it back.
Yes.
You can come into the Masters with a B game, which I think is where he's at, is a B game, as putting has been the problem. But he loves that course. He loves but that's like, I would love to see Brooks competing, because I think that he's the guy that he could kick it into gear. You know what I mean? He's the boxer that says he's gonna go against the puncher kind of guy, and he gets stabbed in the face for 6 rounds and then just lays a damn haymaker on somebody and then just starts beating the crap out of you. I could see him doing it. I was not a big Brooks Koepka fan. I didn't like the way he treated DeChambeau. When that whole thing was going on, and DeChambeau couldn't get a shot off because Brooks wouldn't let them do it. But they mended fences, and I think Brooks has found humility, and he's found a lot of different things. I think having a kid probably helped him out quite a bit. But I think he's still got that in his gut. He'd like to. If he's sniffing it, boy, I would want to see him on Saturday make a move and get into those last two pairings, and he would be tough to stop.
All right, so we'll make our Masters picks a little later, I would say. Let's just go. I kind of given mine away a little bit, but anyway. So that's and it's going to be a tremendous week. Starts with the par 3 on Wednesday. If you have cable, and a lot of people have cut the cord, but if you have cable and you have ESPN Unlimited, you can start watching as early as 8:45 on Thursday and Friday.
Yeah.
Remember when it was just, you literally got 3 hours, nothing else. I mean, the Masters
on Saturday and Sunday, that's it.
Yeah. And now
it made it into this sort of aloof, it was like mystic. You never saw the front 9. Right. You didn't ever see the front 9. They didn't show it. Nobody knew what it looked like. And all of a sudden, there's the front 9. What do you know? But they're smart. They evolved with the times, but they did it in a manner that wasn't over commercialized. I think the signature moment for the Masters, was when they were being protested by a group of women that they said it was unfair because they weren't allowing women members and everything else. Right. And rather than sort of to give in to what their their club was all about.
They're
They just
not
said,
ever.
no, you know what? Here's what we're doing. We're not having any commercials. We don't need it. So we're going to run it commercial free.
Yeah.
And so and they within as soon as that was said, everybody went home because they couldn't get them. They had enough money.
Mhm.
And so I thought it was one of the things like, hey, no, this is what we do and how we do it. And but they've evolved with the tournament. Just like I said before, you've got a drive, chip, and putt. You've got the women's amateur.
Mhm.
Now it's expanding. It's not expanding the field. It's not doing different stuff that whatever tricking. We're just going to have more people getting to enjoy what we want to show off, and that's what they're doing, and they're smart.
Is it? I would be interested to watch this. 60 seconds is the maximum commercial break still.
I
think they
so.
only take
think a lot of
60-second
times
breaks.
in the past they've had it where Cadillac or somebody would say, so many
This hour's performed.
this hour. So and I don't know if they're still done. And they changed that with everything. I think now they're making their money by allowing people to watch early rounds now. Now
Yes.
ESPN's paying for this, and Prime is paying for the afternoon on Thursday and Friday, and then CBS is paying gobs and gobs of money over the years to do. So they're not having to go out there and sort of get everybody to they don't have Burger King commercials and whatever else is doing, Doritos and beer and that kind of stuff. So
one other interesting note: Tiger Woods, wants a jury trial, which I think is very interesting, and B, he's going out of the country to get help, saying basically it's a privacy thing.
So, Rich, everything he's done up to this point has been wrong. He's doing the wrong things because he has enough people in his life that are telling him what is right and wrong. The fact that I think we joked about it last week, but the fact that he picked up the phone and called the president of the United States after he got pulled over. Okay, now he's dating in the family. He's
Right.
sort of a family member now. That it shows you where his mind is.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to say, "I'm sorry, can we figure this out? What's going on?" He called the president, and now he's going out of the country to some whatever rehab that's going to be, and it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make a damn bit of sense to me. So I don't think he's on any. I hope that this doesn't become tragic. It's already sort of become sad.
Yes.
But tragic could mean a lot of different things. Tragic could mean he loses contact with his kids. Tragic could mean whatever. He just turns into a knockdown drug addict. Who knows? The way Tiger sweats, the way Tiger looks when he's doesn't look right. I'm almost inclined to think that. And again, but he's not far from hitting the pipe, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
He's getting that close to being that much of a mess. And now the PGA has married themselves with him and put him a part of their hierarchy. So you'd think that they're got to be whispering in his ear and saying, "Tiger, man, come on, let's get this right." So we'll see.
There's still some people that think he's going to be a Ryder Cup captain. I mean, seriously?
Look, if they had to go that route, okay, because of they can't lose again or whatever the situation is, there are better choices than that.
No, absolutely.
He's not a coach,
right?
He's already said that before in the past.
Yep.
He's not a coach. You need to get somebody who's a thinker. Tiger, the great players in any sport can't tell you how to do it because they don't know how they do it.
Right.
They can't.
Excellent point. Excellent
point. Their psyche. So how is he going to teach somebody? I would hit it out of the bunker. I do this, and what are you talking about? Only you can do that, not me.
Right. And only the old you can do that, by the way.
Right.
All right. 941 Sports Zone, presented as always by Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida. We certainly do appreciate their sponsorship. 33rd episode now, John, locally owned and nationally backed, delivering exceptional roofing for homes and businesses up and down the Gulf Coast. 941-251-4257 is the number. Again, call them before things start getting dicey. 941-251-4257. 4257. It's opening day as we record this on Monday afternoon, opening day for the Rays back at the Trop. They've kind of dressed up the Trop a little bit, extended the agreement for a year, although a lot of people think that that's still only going to mean the same amount of years because next year is very much up in the air with the labor issues. They're playing the Cubs at the home opener, so not everybody's going to be a Rays fan. Play the Twins, play somebody that, is not going to take a bunch of the seats at the Trop. And they haven't apparently, and I'm looking as we speak just after 4:00 Eastern time, looks like it's lower bowl only. So 25,025 was the old seating dimension. And I think that's where they're going to head up. It is a sellout. 4-5 to start the year when you consider they've been on the road. They haven't exactly played world beaters, but that's a decent start. Shane McClanahan got the ball on Monday. As I mentioned, you're probably watching this later on. I think that was a great job by the Rays to set it up to where he was going to be the starter, considering he went almost 1,000 days without pitching. And had a pretty decent start in his first start. He just ran out of gas. The Rays are going to be a middling team this year. It'll be interesting to see how things go. The Yankees appear to be off to a very good start, as are the Dodgers, who only 2 losses came at the hands of Cleveland at home. And on Sunday, Ohtani hit one that still hasn't landed. It was said to be 438. It seemed like it was a lot more than that. But the more things change, the more they stay the same in baseball.
Yeah, and again, I thought the way the season started from a presentation perspective was fantastic. One of the better opening weeks that I've seen in a long time. Mm-hmm. But again, that's NBC. That's Peacock. They're doing a great job with it.
Yes,
right off the bat. So they've done magnificent work with not only the Olympics but everything else they've done. The Super Bowl, NBA. Listen, I think it's really cool between you and I. I think it's cool that there was a game on till midnight last night with the Warriors and the Rockets, mm-hmm. and not because I was up at midnight to watch, but they're thinking about the West Coast.
Yes.
Okay. So what's the big? So that's what I always thought. Like, have a game later. They do it all the time.
Yeah, they're doing it the next 2 nights too, John.
It's fantastic. It's a great idea, and you commit to sports. And look, you want ratings? Let Netflix and Apple TV put all the sitcoms they want out there with 6 episodes a year or whatever, and have to wait 14 years to see the second season. Be sports. Be live sports, not every night. Don't get me wrong. There's more people than you and I that want to watch TV on regular cable. But understand mm-hmm. something. You're fighting a battle where there's 19 different options to watch TV, and every one of them has one good show on it. It's like, so you're fighting that on Thursday night or whatever else it is. I don't think it's a bad model to do that. Fox is doing it as well. Mm-hmm. You see mm-hmm. games that they're going later in the night. They've got Live. Well, I'm not saying that Live's a winner, but they've got that there as well. They do NASCAR. There's all kinds of different stuff. If you watch it, I think that these networks are going to make whoever can't get on board and get this right. I think it's going to be their own fault, because it's enough to go around to watch that there should be. I think it's a great idea, and the product looks great. They're packaging it perfectly, and means a lot. I think it's a really cool deal.
All right. Speaking of the NFL, I saw a story coming up this coming year. You have to have 10 different subscriptions / cable to watch all the games in the NFL.
Right.
It's one thing to put a game here and there. It's one thing to, Amazon, get them in there and what have you. But I think the NFL might be stretching it a little much now. To have all that. And listen, I don't have to watch every game. Everybody's like, well, you need to get YouTube and you need to get this and you need to get that. No, I'll just skip those games and they'll be on NFL Network later and I'll be able to watch them.
Rich, to the age of 55, okay, I couldn't not be in front of a TV at 1 o'clock on Sunday.
Right.
Had to be there. Okay, I'm like, not being in front of it was like, I got the heebie-jeebies, right? Because it's only so many weeks in the year, right? Correct. So you knew 1 o'clock, right? You and me are in the same boat, buddy. If I don't have whatever it is that the game is on Wednesday night before Thanksgiving or whatever it's going to be, who cares?
Right.
Because what you're doing now is you're creating a situation where you are demanding of me more than I'm willing to give. Okay. When do you figure it out? Probably when it's too late. Because what'll happen is you're going to go, oh, we signed a 5-year deal with whoever and nobody's watching it because that's the saturation point, and I'm not going to have all these different deals. That's the deal. What I think should happen altogether, everybody watches a TV of some sort, right? It doesn't matter whatever it's streaming or cable, whatever comes through your TV, you've got something coming through. The NFL everything should be on a pay-per-view perspective, okay? Except for whatever you get normally on Sundays or whatever it may be. Because if I don't want to watch it, I'm not paying the $10 to watch it. But guess what? I don't have to have a $300 subscription to watch 2 games I want to watch. Right. I'll spend $30 to watch 2 games, and I won't watch the rest. And maybe somebody else will who's willing to pay for that. But you're demanding of me much more of a commitment to and I love TV. I mean, I'm going to watch TV when I get done with this, right? And so what you're pushing me past my saturation point. And the NFL doesn't care because it's as long as the money is, they make one more nickel than they made the last year, then they're happy.
They're good. Yep.
They're good. And that's and for you and me to say that cynically, being the fans that we are going to watch the draft. That's the draft is, and we'll talk about it when it comes. They ruined the draft.
Yeah,
they ruined it. They changed the draft so that people who don't watch football very much can go to a bar and watch it on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
Why? Why do we have to have that audience? How much more is involved? It's all about selling beer and chips is what it is. Okay. But the guys like me and you, we're going to watch it, but man, I sure the hell enjoyed Saturday afternoon, one Saturday in the spring, watching that. I used to sit at my pool, had friends over, we barbecued all day. It was better than anything we did all year. It was great.
That's now rounds 4 through 7.
Yeah.
The way they have it set up. So,
and you lose momentum. You lose momentum. So they just want money. That's what they want.
Yeah. Well, 17 days till the draft, which is in Pittsburgh. And we'll start talking about that, like you said, as we get closer to it. A couple of other things. The Lightning, nice homestand, ended up 5-1-1 on a 7-game homestand, 11 of a possible 14 points, which has put them back in first place in the Atlantic Division. 3-1 win over the Bruins on Saturday afternoon. Trailed 1-0 going to the third and just turned it on. So, Buffalo, or I should say Buffalo. I got Buffalo on the mind because that's the big game on Monday night. But Boston, trying to secure that wild card spot where they could very well play the Lightning. And the Lightning have won the first 3 games against the Bruins this year. They have one more game coming up on Saturday in Boston. But the Lightning doing their thing. And as I mentioned, they're now 2 points ahead of Buffalo with a game in hand and could all but wrap up the division, to be brutally honest with you, with a victory against Buffalo on Monday night. At least wrap up the division against Buffalo. Montreal's just hanging around also, doing only a couple of points behind the Sabres, although they don't have the same amount of regulation wins, which are tiebreakers. We won't bore you with that. But the last game in Buffalo was 8-7. This is the final game of the regular season. JJ's not going to be in goal. It's going to be Vasilevsky. This should be a very interesting game. Both teams played on Saturday. Buffalo's kind of leveled off, just like the Lightning leveled off after the Olympics. We kind of saw it coming, and now Buffalo's kind of leveled off. So, and the Lightning have lost the first 2 games in the regular season. I'm sure they don't want to go into the playoffs having been winless, although I don't think they really care. But I think the Lightning will bring their A game Monday night in Buffalo.
I'm going to be very, very, very frank with you at this. I love where the Lightning are right now. Okay. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that they had to get through a tough stretch, that they came out of it. I like the fact that they have taken care of business where they needed to. I loved, again, like they go out west and they come back with a winning record, or maybe they kill it out there. I am very comfortable with the Lightning moving forward. I think that they are one of probably 3 or 4 teams that are Stanley Cup ready.
Wow, only 3 or 4. That's interesting.
Well, I mean, I look at it and I say to myself, I'm like, while I know that here's what it is with the NHL playoffs, no matter what the format, man, you're always going to get a 7 seed or somebody beating somebody they shouldn't. You know what I mean? And so I don't really want to say like, oh yeah, limited. But I think that coming out of all this, you're going to look around and say like, oh, there's a bad matchup for so-and-so. There's a bad matchup for so-and-so. I don't think that there's specifically a bad matchup for the Lightning, because they, in years gone by, there would have been a physical team would have been a bad matchup.
Washington comes to mind immediately.
There's no goaltender worries in regards to what he can do. The only thing that they can't, that they're a little bit, let me talk about it not long ago, on the defense, they're always a little bit light on that side of it. But yeah, I mean, you got to think that they're a team that's going to put 4 or 5 goals up on teams, and go ahead and see if you can get 4 by Vasi. See what you can do.
Interesting that they played better on defense since Victor Hedman went on long-term IR with whatever is either ailing him or whatever health issues he might be having. I think they've really sewn things up defensively, especially late in the homestand. Giving up only 1 to Boston, I think is a biggie. And again, this Buffalo game, the playoffs starting less than 2 weeks from now on the 18th. I think I agree with you. I think they're in great position, and I don't think they have to win the division, because these are veteran players, and it doesn't, they get into a 2-3 matchup with Montreal, so be it. I think I prefer personally not to be at the top, because you're the hunted if you are at the top. So, and hockey, like you said, is strange. Speaking of strange, okay, the Golden Knights blew out Bruce Cassidy in favor of John Tortorella last week. Now the Islanders are on a 4-game losing streak. With 4 games left, they say, Patrick Waugh, well, you can step aside. And they hired Peter DeBoer. I put Peter Burns on the thing. My apologies. Peter DeBoer to replace him. This does 2 things, okay, in my opinion. One, they got their coach for the next year and the next few years. DeBoer, all he does is win. I know he didn't win a cup in Dallas, but he puts them in great position. And, they've got to come from behind now. They're no longer in the playoffs as of last night when they lost. And they only have 4 games left. They're going to need 7 or 8 points.
Right. They need to go. They need to win them all. Yeah.
Yeah, but they've got the guy to do it. And I think that's a wake-up call. And again, hockey, incredibly strange. I think the Magic should have done this, and they've sat down and just basically gone with their guy, and they're sitting in 9th in the East. And, that's no man's land. You have to win a game, probably against the Heat, who you've already beaten 5 times this year. If it stays 9-10, what are the odds you're going to beat them 6 in a row? Okay. Yeah. But it doesn't happen. I know it happened last year with Malone. We talked about that, a little while ago when he went to North Carolina. They blew him out with 4 games left in the regular season. But, the hockey people have no problem, no matter when it is, to blow people out. And the Islanders started playing bad. So out with the old, in with the new.
Absolutely. If you had a chance, and if you're seeing it's a coach problem, why wait 4 more games and say we could have made the playoffs if we did this?
Right.
Does it mean that they're going to go on a run? Probably not, but
Right.
it does mean that you're already started building for next year.
Yeah.
And weren't they a favorite to be really good this year too? I'm not trying to think like if
The Islanders. No, they've actually overachieved.
Okay.
They were. Yeah, they were not expected to be as good as they have been. So they've overachieved, and a lot of people, when this came down, a lot of people, especially in New York media, because I kind of followed it last night, Sunday night, if you will, were like, why would you? The team has overachieved all year, so now they go into a little bit of a slump, and you make a change. It's interesting thought process, but again, hockey, just get in the tournament.
Right.
We talked about it. Just get in the tournament, you got a shot. And they have a top flight goalie that can get hot and carry them. So I think that's where their thought process is. Sure. NBA, we talked about it. Magic and Heat are currently sitting 9th and 10th in the East. That would mean they would face off in a play-in game, and the winner would have to play the loser of the 7-8 game. Now, everything is so tight in the NBA, especially in the East, John. You could be Atlanta's 5th, and I think Atlanta's pretty comfortable. They've got a couple of game lead. We've only got 5 or 6 games left, depending on who you are in the regular season. I think they're safely into the actual body of the playoffs. But from 6 to 10, it is an absolute scramble, and you could be where the Magic and Heat are now and turn around and end up getting 6th. Philly's in 6th right now. Charlotte is as hot as you could be. I don't think anybody wants to see the Hornets right now as well as they've been playing. It looks like Detroit's going to win the East. It looks like Boston's going to be 2nd in the East. Knicks Cavs is an interesting. They're currently 3-4. Knicks have a game lead over Cleveland, and sitting in that 5 spot is Atlanta, which last year when the Cavs were really good was a bad matchup for them.
Right.
And Atlanta just took the Knicks behind the woodshed in their most previous game. I think there's a serious run to try to finish 3rd and not face Atlanta in the first round of the playoffs.
No, I don't doubt it. I was the other day. They said, hey, Detroit they clinched the top seed. Can you name one player on Detroit?
Well, Cade Cunningham, and he's the guy that's hurt that needs to come back for them to even have a chance. But yeah, right. After that, it's very difficult.
And you're like, wow. I mean, like it almost feels like you have to be like it feels like you need to like really, really know basketball to know this team. Yes. And my goodness, they're making the rest of the East look like they're definitely there's one team and the rest are kind of. I mean, I know Boston's kind of close, but still, Detroit they are on all cylinders right now. They are a tough team.
Yeah, they saw a little bit of drop off when Cunningham first went out, but now they're playing well again, and they hope to have him back in time for the start of the playoffs. Had a collapsed lung situation, which is always very, very dangerous. In the West, OKC's the 1 seed. San Antonio's the 2 seed. That San Antonio's probably the team you want to avoid. They are playing. I think they're 27-3 in their last 30. John, I mean that's a pretty good sustained run.
Wembanyama, which is obviously that's San Antonio's. That's the deal. Mm-hmm. He is the most freakish player I've seen in. I don't know. I know everybody says Ralph Sampson was 7'4", but Ralph Sampson couldn't do what he's doing.
Oh no, not at all.
He plays small forward at 7'4". Okay, That's what he's really playing, and that's just nuts what he can do and his how he alters everything in the game. And he's got a nice jump shot. He plays small. He can play small. It's unbelievable. So. Yeah, nobody wants to see San Antonio because the complementary players on that team are pretty good. There's names you would recognize on those teams, yes. And so that's interesting. OKC, I mean, they're good. Yeah. They're really good.
Deep.
Very good team, and they drafted so well. They moved the pieces around when and some people have done the same, but not to their success level. It's really, really, really good. So
Yeah.
they are. I think the Lakers are sinking ship right now in the West.
Well, two big injuries. You got Luca, who's seeking. He's with Tiger overseas,
Yeah.
seeking second opinion on his hamstring injury. They're hopeful that he'll be back for the start of the playoffs, although I would think that that's probably a little more down the road. And Austin Reeves, their third best player, looks like he's out 4 to 6 weeks. So, yeah, the Lakers got to a point they won 9 or 10 in a row, and now all of a sudden they've kind of fell back. They lost to Cooper Flagg and the Mavericks yesterday.
Yep.
Flagg with a back-to-back 51 and 45 point games probably sewed up the rookie of the year for the NBA. No, Nuggets have won 8 in a row, and they're back up to a tie for third. What an interesting second round matchup that would be, San Antonio and Denver. I mean, that's
the team I think that San Antonio doesn't want to see.
Okay.
Again, I'm not. Again, I think that Denver's getting back to where they need to be.
Yep.
And Jokic is the best player in the league. Wembanyama is going to win MVP more than likely.
Mm-hmm.
And Jokic just does things that fundamental basketball that personified. And I his game, I didn't see much of him early on. I'm like, what? Because Denver wasn't on TV a lot, and I get to look it out. And I saw the guy play, and I'm like, I love this. This is like, they're legit as long as he's healthy and around. And he's the kind of guy that, not to say that, but I don't think a guy like Wembanyama is going to be like, he's going to look and say, I don't know what to do here. He's already got it figured out.
Right.
I'm sure at this point. So I'm always for the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, I'm always a Nuggets guy at this point. I used to be a Warriors guy in the West. Say, well, as long as Steph Curry's there, but they're sort of becoming older and whatever. But
and
I
Curry,
think it's been Denver the last few years for me out there. But OKC is they're unbelievable matchup.
There's no question they're the favorite. Interesting that you mentioned, the Nuggets. Like I mentioned, the tied for 8. The team you have to watch that the last 2 playoffs. They were, I think, the 5th seed one year and the 6th seed the next, and they're currently the 6th seed is Minnesota. They seem to get in the playoffs and they cause all kinds of problems. And they will, if the Nuggets finish third, that'd be an interesting. I'm talking about a second round matchup. They have not figured out the T-Wolves in the playoffs.
No, that's their problem. So everybody's got a sort of an Achilles heel.
Yep.
And that's definitely right, because I don't think they have an answer for Anthony Edwards.
Yep.
They don't have anybody. He can go off on stuff. Although there are times though he just disappears and you don't really know why he disappears.
But in the playoffs he does not. That's the thing. I think in the regular season you're right.
But 50 and for him to be whatever he's going to be, he can do it. He can really do it.
Agreed. And the Warriors, they missed Steph for I think 27, 28 games. He came back on Sunday night. They barely lost. They lost by 1 point the game they were playing. And off the bench, Curry had 29. So he's just warming up. They're going to be a very dangerous. They can get out of the play-in tournament. Of course, that's tough. The way it looks right now, they're going to have to play a road game in the 9-10 matchup and then play a road game in the next match just to get into the body of the playoffs. And I think that's, like you said, they're a team that's aging in front of us. I wouldn't be surprised, to be truthfully honest with you, coming off of this year, if Steph decides maybe he's had enough.
Well,
he can swing the crooked stick. He is very good at golf.
Him and Draymond might be the guys you both think. I wouldn't know if they go at the same time, but I think they're both approaching that point in their career where they got to decide how much more they're going to do this for.
I totally agree there. All right, locks of the week. You got off the schneid, took UConn. They ended up getting you a win, so you're 18-10. I am continuing down the rabbit hole. Boy, Arizona let me down. I mean, definitely. And I watched that game, and with 4 minutes gone, I was like, no chance. I mean, I know you talked about Tommy Lloyd and not making. I think he tried a few things. I just think the freshmen had had deer in the headlights look, and the game plan was totally off. And the fact that they didn't shoot threes, it was a terrible matchup. So I'm 2 games behind you again. You're 18-10. I'm 16-12. Are you going basketball? Are you going golf? I think you hinted that you're going to go golf.
So I'm gonna go. I'm doing two things here. I'm just gonna give you a bonus for tonight's game. Okay. And if I lose, I lose, and I'll take the punishment because.
Well, no. You can just. This is a bonus. The other one will be your pick.
So the bonus you pick one. The bonus is this, because I'm going to stick with. Because I'm going to give you the harder one after this. But I think that Michigan will win the game.
Mm-hmm.
And you've heard me be sort of detracting from Michigan. I don't disrespect them. I just think that they are beatable if you do the right thing. Okay. However, UConn has shown the propensity to be beatable as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you throw a lot of stuff at UConn and Dan Hurley, it's like the mad scientist. All of a sudden, it's too much, and boom, he's on the edge right now. He's way on the edge.
Mm-hmm.
I could see him unraveling in this game if it gets behind, a little bit.
So are you laying the 7.5 is what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah, I'll do that with Michigan in this particular case. I think that they're going to be able to do that. But that's my bonus. It's a little because it's tonight's game. It's fresh, so we got to talk about it a little bit. However, my pick this week is I'm going to pick the winner of the Masters.
All right. Okay? So, I want to hear this.
So I was when Jordan Spieth got on that run early in his career, and he was putting without looking at the hole. He was a wizard in his short game. He had better than average length. He understood how to play major championships. That's why he won the Open Championship. He won the U.S. Open. He won Masters twice. He was going for the Grand Slam like that. He had it all set to go. Yep. And what happened? Well, an injury here and there, but in a lot of cases, Rich, I remember this was told that Jack Nicklaus said this about Tiger Woods and about a lot of people. He says it's not going to be golf that's going to get to him. It's going to be a family. Okay. When you start raising a family and you have all these responsibilities at home, it doesn't make it easy to play golf. It gets harder. Okay. And Jack made his run in his 20s, right? He was winning a bunch of them. Mm-hmm. And now I look at it and I think that's my reason I was talking about Spieth and like Jack. I think this is Scotty's chance to get to show whether or not he is the guy. Is he the next guy? We thought Spieth was, and he hit a wall. We thought Rory was, and he hit a 12-year wall. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Scotty has a different game. Scotty's not mechanical. Scotty gets up there and just hits shots. He's a shot maker. He's the kind of guy that you love to watch him play because nothing that you think he can do, sort of Tiger-ish in that sense, he takes it on. I think that the Masters is his home turf. He's had a little bit of a lull. I'm feeling Scotty comes out and wins the Masters. Because if he doesn't, and he doesn't win a major this year, and he's got 2 babies at home, just saying, he may not be the dominating figure he's been. I think this is the way to show that he could be the dominating player. So I'm hedging my bets. Scotty Scheffler wins the Masters.
All right. Going out there. Even though he's the favorite, he's 5-1. I can't remember the last time he was 5-1 in a tournament. He's usually 2-1, 5-2, plus 250, 5-2.
It's him in the field right now. That's how I feel about it.
Well, it'll be interesting to see after the new baby and 3 weeks off how he. But that course is so made for him, made for him.
Yeah.
My free play is going to be the Masters. This is not my pick of the week, but I'm going to take Bryson.
Okay, I think it's a really good pick.
And I think the way he's playing right now, he's in a very good place. He's very comfortable. Notice he's gotten a lot better when they've gone to 4 rounds in Live.
Exactly.
Exactly. So Yeah, so I think he's set up and ready to go. He hasn't played in a couple of weeks, but I firmly believe that him taking a couple of weeks off I think was a good thing. He's got his head right. He was in Augusta early. Um, I'm going to take Bryson to win, but that's not my lock of the week. My lock of the week is going to be in the national championship game on Monday night, and I'm with you. I think and I've been so wrong. I mean, I was, I'm going Illinois and Arizona, and both of them are just kind of watching. Are they playing in the third place? Oh wait, they haven't.
They used to do that. That was
way back in when I was a kid. I just think Michigan's got too much. I just do, and Dusty May. Yeah, I mean, I will give him his flowers. He gets this natty. He gets. Think about it. Big Ten's 25 years plus without a national championship.
Absolutely, no doubt about it.
I think they cover the 7.5. I think they win by double digits. I don't think it's going to be a game like it was the other night because I think UConn is too senior laden, and I think they'll hang around for a while. I honestly think that Michigan's just too deep. I think this is a game where their rotational stuff will actually help them. They go 9-10 deep. And I think in the second half, UConn's got a shorter bench, and I think that's going to end up being a problem. I am going to take Michigan.
The only way that Michigan that UConn wins or can win, obviously, I got to shoot lights out from the perimeter. That's number one. If Loudenborg, am I saying that right?
Yes.
Okay. You want to say
Berg?
I
don't even know. Yeah, whatever. Right. Loudenborg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he's not 100%, that's not going to help them. That's their lone go-to guy. Okay.
Right.
And I also think if they get Mara in foul trouble, or he can, they get him whatever, he's an X factor. Mm-hmm. There's games I've watched Michigan this year where he only played 8 minutes. They didn't need him, whatever the case may be. In these games, he's an X factor. If he gets in foul trouble and the other guy can't go, there's an opportunity at that point. Now, I'll say one other thing about your DeChambeau pick. 2 guys made giant mistakes, not because it's cost them any their careers or whatever, because some guys may have lost careers over this. But Rahm and DeChambeau should never have gone to live. Okay?
Well, I'll agree with Rahm.
Well, but in the case, though, in both cases, they did it. It was only about money. Mm-hmm. Okay? It wasn't about making the game better or any of that shit.
Well, tell me who. All right, stop. I'm going to stop you. Who went there to make the game? It was about money. All 48 of them that originally went, and anybody else that's gone, it's all about money. Period. End of story.
Well, the thing I'll say to you is this: is that from the perspective of Bubba Watson, Pat Perez, I'll name all these different guys that are journeymen. They should have taken the money, okay? Because there's nothing they were on the decline.
What about Patrick Reed? What about Patrick Reed, John?
Patrick Reed is when he went to live, he was a giant baby.
Okay.
His story is a very sad story with his family, and he's disconnected from them and all different stuff. But he is one of those I want my look at me. What about me? That kind of thing. He plays. He's been a great Ryder Cup guy. He's been a USA all the way guy with that stuff. And looking at Patrick Reed, and I think that he felt like he was being ostracized. Remember, they said he cheated out of the bunker. I think he left because they're like, I'm great. Why are you doing this to me? And he left because he got his feelings hurt, and they offered him a pile of money. And he sat there for a couple of years and said, this is not where I want to be. And I don't care how, I'm not going to do it this way. I'm going to do it this way. So I think Rahm and DeChambeau in their prime could have gotten on a major sort of path. And I think they've missed out on some years, and they're continuing to stay there. Is going to do it again. A guy like Cam Smith, I know he went over there after he won a major. I don't see him as a guy who's going to win a bunch of majors. I really don't.
Okay.
But Rahm and DeChambeau, I think they could have been guys who could win anywhere from 5 to 8, 5 to 7 different championships. think they had the potential for it. And I think the live move has stymied them, and they took money that they would have gotten if they were successful. Now I know there's no guarantees to that,
Right.
but that's unfortunate that I think they made a mistake in doing that, and now they're doubling down on their mistake by when they had a chance to go now, and don't know why, but I don't discount them as potential major winners. I think they would be better suited if they didn't leave.
Okay, fair enough. All right, time for segment finale. What's bugging me? I'm going to start. I already said it.
Go ahead.
I mean, I give away mine every week. I don't know. I can't help myself. But what the NFL is doing right now just bugs the crap out of me. And listen, I have Peacock, okay, because I get it with my cable. I have ESPN Unlimited. I have Netflix. My daughter and we kind of do trade
Right.
a little bit.
You have
But
Prime?
I have Prime. Oh, I definitely. I've got my daughter and my wife.
Right.
Without Prime, I'd be paying $1 bajillion for shipping. The two of them, that is what it is, and that's getting really expensive now. I think the annual is up to $199. When I first signed up, it was $129. So, first of all, I'm old. Second of all, it's
Right.
going up exponentially every year. But again, I just said what I said to you. I don't have to watch every game live. And if I do, I'll go to a sports bar or what have you, or somewhere that has it. I guess if I live down there, when a game is on a network like that and your local team's playing, they will obviously sell it to a local channel. You won't have to have Netflix or Prime or what have you. But I get that for New England games. Ugh. Anyway, but in all seriousness, NFL Network will show me the game 3 hours after, and I don't need to have all these damn subscriptions. I think the NFL is starting to get, I don't want to say, yeah, I do want to say too big for their britches, John. I think that they just, they bleed and bleed and bleed. March used to be about March Madness. And what has March been about? Free agency. Anytime you want to concentrate on the tournament, the NFL jumps in and says, wait a minute, hold my beer. I got quarterbacks moving. I got this, I got that. April now is the draft. May is the schedule release. I mean, June's OTAs. They literally have something in every month. And, a lot of the stuff is I just completely ignore, like the combine. That has zero. I have zero interest in that. I mean, watching guys in shorts and t-shirts run 40-yard dashes.
Yeah, and you're watching.
First of all, are you running 40 yards on a football field? No, not usually.
And they're showing guys now that really are not the big players aren't going to the combine. They're doing their pro days, and that's really what it comes down to. So the combine has become sort of it's not really what it was.
Yeah. So that's what's bugging me. I can't. I know there's 272 games, and I know they're going to go to an 18th game with another bye, etc. And then I got another. What's bugging me when they do that, the fact that 16 games are going to be out of the country. I think that's ridiculous, to be truthfully honest with you.
No doubt. Well, I had a couple different ideas in my head. I kind of spilled the beans on one of them, so I'm not going to do the one I was. But I am definitely annoyed with women's sports, especially basketball, where again I'm not defending Gino Auriemma, but I feel like that there's the game is sort of becoming it's my game. We're going to play it my way, and if you don't like it, then turn the channel off. When you're trying to develop a league, trying to develop money streams, and yet there's this attitude like it's about us, and we don't care what the rest of you think. That's going to wear people out quickly. Okay, but what's bugging me for sure is this. Remember the name Eileen Gu? She was the girl that was the United States citizen who became a Chinese representative at the Olympics. Eileen Gu is a 4-time gold medalist for
Mhm.
China. Again, as a U.S. citizen, she went because her mother was a Chinese diplomat
It's
in
kind
the
of like
United
the World
States.
Baseball Classic, the Italy
The whole
team.
thing. Yeah.
How many people are from Italy?
Right. However, in the case of this, I get it. There's a lot of tensions in the world. Everything's kind of different. And I give her benefit of the doubt. It's her mom's, her mom's country. She feels heritage to it. I can hear the story and be okay with it. Okay. You know what? Again, it's if somebody wants to do that, I guess that's their prerogative. However, there's a caveat.
Okay.
Now, Eileen Gu has been, I guess, traded, so to speak, by the Chinese government to the Canadian government. She
Huh?
is now going to represent Canada.
Say what?
Yes, she is going to be represent Canada. Unless I unless
Under what auspice though? Is somebody in her family from Canada or? I
no,
mean,
because they gave her citizenship. So what I've been now listen, what I hope to have happen because I've read it all over the place. Now it's around April Fool's Day. I hope I wasn't April Fool's on this one, but
Yeah.
that's what what I read all week last week is that she's now going to represent China. I mean Canada.
Yeah.
As a representative of Canada, and there's been sort of a trade made in this particular case. And so, if this is true or not, okay, my point is this: if it comes to the point now where you're not able to, that representing your country is not good enough, now it's going to become a money chase of some sort, then really we're losing track of everything
Amen.
that makes sports great. Again, I thought they almost went overboard with the U.S. team winning. They're professional players, and they are not the number 2 team. They're the 1B team. They're good. They're great hockey players, right?
Right.
But still, nonetheless, how that resonated with our country, divided as we may be politically and all these other things, it really meant something. So now, if this is truly happening, where we're saying like, okay, well, you're not here, but you're going to go represent another country. What are we doing? What is this about at some point in time? And if you're a gold medalist in this country, it's worth $40 million.
Yes. Yes.
She's a beautiful woman. She's on the cover of Vogue. She's a runway model. She's got the entire package in this particular case. And now you're telling me that it's an up for sale situation? Because really the Chinese thing was the same thing. It was up for sale. She makes $26 million a year from the Chinese government. Okay. But you mean to tell me that that's where we're headed? That you're going to say, no, I'm not playing. I'm not going to play for the United States. My father was is 10th generation Lithuanian, and I'm going to do that because they did whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's unfortunate that that's the case. I don't think you see that in countries like Norway or Sweden. You don't see it there, right? Because it's really about representing your country and whatever else it is. Now it's becoming, if that's what's going to happen with it, then I'll be turning off the Olympics next, no matter how good it looks or whatever else it is. Because if I got to find out that this person was here and that person was there, I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Well,
It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah.
It's money. It's turning into a money grab.
And so that being again, if I was tricked, okay, during the week, the idea that is there's already been a precedent for this, and it is possible to happen. That could happen. You know what I mean? And now in any particular place, the quad god could say like, hey, I got too much pressure in the United States, so I'm going to represent Trinidad and Tobago and have the first, the first ever Tobagan, figure skating champion.
Yes.
Who knows? But that's just, to me, it bugs me that that's the case, and that we have to even think about that is really sort of disheartening. About the sports. And I get it; they're not amateurs anymore, and that I don't have a problem with that. But when you're
For hire
on a team, that's your team. Okay. Right. What is you just can go and up and go. It's sort of and then to be like with the Chinese, going with the Chinese government, why is everybody so upset about it? Well, because you're here. You're a citizen of our country. You know what I mean? Like, all right, if you want to do it, say you have some reasons behind it, but really the reason was all about money. That's all. The money. If it really was about the other part of it, then go there and do all the right things and be a representative and be a role model. All the things you said you are. Don't take the 26 mil, but you did. You took the 26 mil.
Money is the root of all evil. We've
no doubt
33 shows, and I think we mentioned it every single one.
No, it's true though, dude. It's unfortunate that that's the case, but it ruins a lot of people's careers, and it makes a lot of people. It's different things, different narratives, different motivations, and it's it's funny too, Rich. Real quick, I'll just say this: there's still great stories out there about guys that did it for, or guys and gals that did it for the real reasons. You know what I mean? And they made plenty of money doing it.
Right.
And so there's reasons that it can be done that way. Really can be. The sale of your loyalties and integrity is unfortunate.
Very. Totally agree. That's a great one. It might be one of the best ones we've had in the 33 episodes of the 941 Sports Zone. And that will do it for episode number 33. We thank you for joining us again. Get us on YouTube, like, subscribe, and give us some, critique. We would love to see some critique. We're on Facebook. We're on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, any platform you want to use, we're there. So certainly do appreciate you.
So just so you know, I my move to my different spot here was because there was a critique from a friend. He said, you got too much glare in your face. You need to do something about it.
Interesting.
So I was like,
so it's nothing you're saying. It's just glare in your face. That's interesting.
But listen, but that's the point.
Right.
That somebody would know. And I've thought about it too. I'm like, yeah. So you may see me in a different spot even next week. I'm gonna move around the studio, so to speak.
Well, I would love to get outside myself.
Yeah. Well, soon enough, right?
Yeah. Well, who knows? We are expecting flurries.
Yes, I saw that. Al Roker was talking about it this morning, and I'm like,
oh yeah. If that happens, you might need a new co-host. You might need a new co-host. Anyway, after this winter. All right, so that'll do it. For John, Green Jacket Masoni, good luck with your Scotty Scheffler
high definition. They made high definition TV for the Masters.
That's right. Absolutely. The undulations are unbelievable.
And the azaleas.
Yes, they are in bloom now. All right. For John Masoni, Green Jacket, I'm Spitz. Till next week, we'll know who the national champion is. We'll know who the Masters champion is. We're getting that much closer to the NBA and NHL playoffs. There's always something to talk about. Oh, we'll have the district matchups as well. For baseball.
Yep.
Absolutely. So we'll keep it 9-4-1. In the meantime, so long, everybody.
See ya.